Hi, this is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6, Delta Alpha Yankee, and for today's video, this is another COMSEC Practices video. I just did the introduction. This is the first in the series where I actually talk about COMSEC plans, and while I'm not actually going to cover that much actually from the topic, what I am going to do is point you to a video that I did fairly recently. It's been within at least the last month, where I did a video that was an introduction to communication security, where I talked about the different encryption methods that are available in the consumer radio market and some of the different radios and some of the different methods for encryption, both legal and kind of outside the rules. So I'll leave a link in the video, and I'll leave a link in the description where to find that video if you haven't seen it. It's about 15 minutes long, and it's, in my estimation, a fairly decent overview of what's available out there. But the intent of today's video is just to discuss, one of the very first things that you want to consider in setting up your COMSEC plan is the use of encryption. Because without encryption, your COMSEC plan is going to be pretty weak at best. If you're using analog radios, one of the problems with that is every time you key up, anyone with a similar radio or a scanner can very easily hear clearly what you're saying. Now, there are ways you can work around that by using code words and different acronyms and things such as that. But one of the problems that you have to consider if you're using that approach is that under stress, that kind of stuff breaks down pretty quickly. And if you're doing this kind of stuff and it's an actual real deal situation, stress is going to be a factor. The other thing being, sometimes people aren't fully versed in the COM procedures and the different codes that you're using, and that may become a problem that could lead to some dangerous confusion. So encryption allows you to speak fairly clearly and get your message across without being heard by others. So it is something that you definitely are going to want to consider. Now, that may mean that you're going to need to use a radio system that's different from what you're usually used to using. Now, the radios that I currently use for this purpose, and there's a couple of them, but the primary one are the TYT DMR radios. And I have a mixture. I started out with the TYT MD-UV380s, and I've recently upgraded to the MD-UV390. It has a number of important upgrades between the 380 and the 390. This is a much better radio, has higher output wattage, features that the MD-380 doesn't have. I won't go into that too much because there's also a review that I did recently on this radio. It's not terribly expensive. They're about $140, and you can find them on sale pretty regularly for less than that. I've seen them on Amazon recently for as low as just a bit above $100. Spare batteries are easy to acquire for these, so it's a pretty good platform to start off with. And while it may not necessarily be your preferred recreational radio, you don't have to use it for that purpose. You can use it for a very mission-specific purpose. In fact, you don't even need to necessarily have that much information programmed onto the radio, just enough to give you the relevant frequencies you're going to use in the event of an emergency or for whatever purpose you're using encrypted communications, and you can use it just for that. It's not a difficult radio to use under those conditions. So it's something, like I said, that you're definitely going to want to look into. Again, basing your COMSEC plan around an analog system is always going to be weak at best. You can improve your situation somewhat. If that's all you got, that's all you got. You can use some of the practices that I'll be talking about here shortly, and they might help you get by. Like I talked about last time, it's an evaluation of your circumstances. You have to consider your situation in a practical sense, and maybe encryption isn't something that you need at all. Okay, I get that. But for me, well, encryption is definitely, certainly a thing. So that's really all I have to talk about on that, just to stress the importance of incorporating encryption from the very start, and then working out from there, your life is going to be one heck of a lot easier. So with that, I'll bring it to a close. Thank you for watching and or listening. This is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6, Delta Alpha Yankee from Visalia, California. Have a wonderful day.